everyone, and welcome to today's virtual session, Digitize, Manage, and Analyze Your Team's Important Information with Microsoft Teams. I'm Stephanie Kingsley, and I'll be presenting today. We also have Megan Forrest, who is producing the event today, and I also have Gerald Howland with us, our CTO, here to help me answer any technical questions that might arise from the session today. So thank you for taking the time to join us as we explore Microsoft Forms. Before we kick it off and get started, I just want to take a minute to tell you a little bit about MyTech. A lot of people will come to these events and maybe assume that we're a training company. So I just wanted to let everyone know that we're not a training company. We're actually a business and technology consulting company that services the small to medium-sized businesses. We really aim to help businesses develop a proven IT strategy that aligns with their business goals and ultimately remove their IT challenges. As small to medium-sized businesses, we all have tons of challenges in our organizations, and IT shouldn't be one of them. That's where we come in so that we can take the IT challenges off your plate so you can focus on the other challenges in your business. Really, we're here to make IT easy. And that doesn't necessarily make IT easy for us, it's to make IT easy for you. And we found that by adopting our best practices and developing that proven IT strategy, that our clients will achieve 4 times more value and productivity from their IT investments. So just to take a minute, tell you a little bit about what we do, but then we'll get right into it. So today's session really is about using Microsoft Forms. I think there's standard reasons why people use Forms. You might be using a third-party app such as SurveyMonkey or another service like that. And a lot of the common reasons why people would use Forms might be for getting ideas for a company picnic or RSVPs and things like that. But there are also many other uses for Forms that I feel a lot of organizations could be taking advantage of. So here's just 3 categories of what you could be using a form for in your organization. So the first one is for organizing events. Like I said, this is one that you might already be using to basically vote on ideas, request feedback from your staff on company picnic ideas or banquet. You could do potluck signups, just really requesting information from your team. Event RSVPs. You could gain guest information. Are they able to attend the event? Are there any dietary restrictions? And even if you do trade shows for marketing or for sales, this would be a great tool for capturing leads at the booth. You could set up a simple form on a tablet or on a laptop. And if one of the attendees wants more information, this would be a great option for you to capture their information and then follow up. Another category is requesting feedback. This could be both internally and externally in your organization. Event or product surveys. So if you have a particular product that maybe you're launching to a user group and you want to collect feedback afterwards, a Microsoft Form would be a great option. Also, employee engagement surveys. You do have the option to do these anonymously, so that would be a great option for that as well. Many organizations have suggestion boxes that you could set up a virtual suggestion box, or even CSAT, customer satisfaction data. So when you are helping someone on a ticket or a customer service issue, you could send them forms afterwards requesting feedback for how that experience was for them. The last one is for data collection. I'm sure there's many more, but these are the 3 main areas. So data collection, you could want to track client or employee referral information. Maybe your team has metrics that they have to input each week. This would be a great option for a centralized location for them to input that data. Sales and marketing lead tracking. We're actually going to show you a form today that we use internally to track where our leads come from. You could also use it to assess comprehension or completion of training with using quizzes. So if you put out a training or a video and you want your team to watch it, you could actually set up quizzes to assess that they understand the content and that they've went through the training. And lastly is request forms. We use these internally we have a training room that our clients and nonprofit partners are able to use. This is a great tool to have them fill out information that we need when they're requesting to use that room. So these are just a couple of the ideas on when and why you possibly could use a form in your organization. So the next thing I wanted to cover was kind of the 3 types of forms that we're going to cover today. So the first one is quick team polls. We'll demonstrate this in a moment, but this is perfect for doing a quick poll right inside one of your team's channels. This is perfect for single question surveys. So just one question. Examples might be what's for lunch, or if you have a larger team and you're trying to plan a meeting, maybe you're going to throw out a couple different meeting times and allow them to pick the best ones that work for them. or company party theme ideas, just to request feedback in just one question. So it's a really quick way to do that. The other option, which many of us are probably more familiar with, are My Forms. So this is a form that you're creating in your own O365 account. The best time to create these are if you really want the results to be private, or you're only going to share them with 1 or 2 individuals, or allow 1 or 2 other individuals to edit that form. So perfect for short-term surveys or forms, things that aren't going to be continually collecting data. Maybe you're going to post them out there, get data for a short period of time, and then close the form. So like new product feedback or an event RSVP, these are perfect for actually creating within what I'll show you in a second, which is My Forms. And the last one we're going to cover today is group forms. So this is kind of newer to the O365 environment. So a group form is actually a form that ties to the Microsoft Teams group. So when you create that, the team has access to the edit and review capabilities, as well as the live results. So this is really perfect for those ongoing long-term data collection forms. Examples would be like I'm going to show today, the sales and marketing lead tracking, if you had a team metrics, and or request forms. The reason why you would use a group form over a My Form is, let's say that a form was created in My Forms. It was my form, and then I left the organization or moved into another team. My forms come with me, so they're no longer part of that team. If the forms are created in a group form, they're going to live within that team, not the individuals within the team. So we'll kind of show that here in a second. All right, so let's get right into the demonstration. So I'm going to open up, got Microsoft Teams here open. So I first want to demonstrate what a quick team poll is. So let's go to, I'm going to go to the general channel of the all company, which is, this is the company here, the MTP365. We're going to go to the all MT3P channel, and we're going to go to the general. And there's a couple ways that you can do these quick team polls. So the first way is if you hover over the ellipsis here, or also known as the breadcrumbs, and click that open. The option here is forms. So when you add a form from here, what it does is it pops open this window, and you can see you really only have the option to ask one question. So we're going to ask the question. Let's see, vote for your choice of our theme for the annual company picnic. All right, I'm going to put in a couple options here. So the first one we're going to ask is pirate picnic. Or do we want to do an under the sea social? And the last one, because yesterday was May the 4th be with you, we're going to do Star Wars Galactic Get Together. So these are the 3 options that I'm going to give this team to vote on. You can obviously add more, have less, but it's really just one question. The other thing I wanted to point out here is this multiple answers toggle. So if you want your team to be able to vote on more than one, you can switch this to on. That way they're able to select more than one option. For this particular one, I just want them to select one option, so I'm going to go ahead and toggle that off and then hit next. It's going to show you a preview of what the card's going to look like, and I'm going to hit send. And in a second here, you're going to see it's going to go ahead and post it right to the Teams channel. You can see it doing it underneath. There it is. So what it did is right into the team, it's going to post that the form here. So people are able to select whatever one they want. You can see it's allowing me only to choose one option versus multiple, and then submit my vote. When the vote is submitted, you'll see it's putting the results actually right below it. So all the people in the team will be able to see what percentage or how many votes each one is getting. Now, as the person who posted the form, I may want to be able to dig in deeper to the data that's behind that versus just seeing the percentage. So when you submit a form through a team like this, just these quick polls, we'll go up to, I'll show you from Microsoft Office how you can access forms. So if we go to Microsoft Office Home, which is just office.com, I'm going to go over to what we call the waffle here. So if you click that, it's going to open up all the apps that you have, and this is where you can access forms. So I'm going to click Forms. It's going to open it up. And you can see that under My Forms, it's actually inserted the results here in the form for what I just put in the team. So I can go ahead and click on that. And you can see I have the form here. And then it's also going to show me the responses. So I can see here in a quick, easy pie chart the responses as people keep adding. I can also click view results, and then I'm able to actually go through and see who responded. When there's more than one response, you'll be able to toggle back and forth through the responses here. And you even have the option to open it up in Excel to see all the responses. So that's a really quick and easy way to just get a one question a poll answered and put into the Teams chat. Again, probably great option for if you're trying to select a meeting time or just some of those like what's for lunch today, because we all know those go around. So the next part I wanted to show you is my forms. So let's go back to the forms window. And I have a couple forms here, but we're going to create a new one. So to create a form, you can also create a quiz, which the quiz really gives you the capability to add points to each answers. You can select yes or correct or incorrect answers and then also add points to it. But for today's demonstration, we're going to go ahead and create a form. So we're going to create a new form. And if we have any manufacturers in the group, one that we might want to do is if we had a new product coming out. Let's say we had a new product that we're launching and we had a focus group. So we're going to go ahead and get some focus group feedback. So I'm going to go ahead and create a, let's see, we're going to call it actually new product. Let's delete that out of there. New product focus group feedback. Obviously insert your new product name here. And then we can also add a description. So we're going to add a description in. All right, from here, I'm going to go ahead and you see this little button here. You're able to add a picture. So being in marketing, I like to make things all pretty. You can add an image from Bing or OneDrive. I'm going to upload an image here just to add it. There we go. And then I'm going to start adding my questions. So I'm going to click Add New. So one thing that Microsoft Forms does that's, I think, pretty neat is it looks at the title and the description of the form, and then it starts to recommend certain questions based on that. So you can see here, this is a new product focus group, and the questions that it's recommending are pretty good. I mean, these are questions that I necessarily want to ask. So you can either add all the questions, or you can scroll through and look at specific questions. So I like this one. What was your first impression of the product? How would you rate the value for the money of the product? And things like that. So I'm going to add just those two to start. So you can see it added those, and it actually has different options here for the user to choose. But I want to add some additional options. So I'm going to click to add new. And here are a few different question types. There's also more here. So I'm going to add, I want to know how they're going to rate the quality of this product. So I'm going to select rating. And then my question is going to be overall rate the quality. You can see there's a few options here. So first of all, you can select how many levels. I want there to be, I'm going to scroll down a little bit, 10. So we're going to have 10, and you can either do it numerically or by stars. I like the stars, so I'm going to leave that there. I also want to make this a required question. I want them to answer this. So we're going to go ahead and toggle on the required button here. And then over here on these breadcrumbs and the ellipsis, you'll see there's more options. So I'm going to click on here. And you'll see you can either add a subtitle to the question or you can label. I'm going to label because I don't want to assume that everybody knows that 1 star means low quality and 10 stars means higher quality. So I'm going to go ahead and label here that 1 star is low quality and 10 stars is high quality. All right, once we have that labeled, we can go ahead and click off of it, and now we've got that question answered. I want to add another question though, because I want them to describe in their own words what they liked most about the product. So I'm going to click new here, and I'm going to select a text option. So we're going to add that to the form here. In your own words, what do you like most about the product? Now, because this response necessarily isn't probably going to be 2 or 3 words, I'm going to go ahead and toggle on the long answer here. This will allow them to add more feedback than just a sentence. So we're going to put that on there. And again, I'm going to want that to be required. All right, we're going to add one more here because if I'm asking them what they liked most about the product, I also scroll down here, going to add a text question. I want to know what they disliked the most about the product because that's really our opportunity to improve it. Same thing, I'm going to toggle on the long answer here. And there we go. All right, so the next thing I want to know, if I click into add new, I'm going to click the button here to select the additional options. And there's all kinds of other questions that you can ask. I want to do a Net Promoter Score. So I want to know, how likely are you to recommend, I'm going to, instead of us, I'm going to use this to recommend this product. This product to a friend or colleague. So, and again, you can change these labels on what you want, but this will allow them to say whether it's something that they would recommend to a friend or colleague. So we're going to add that one. And the last one I want to add is maybe I've set up a video for how to assemble the product. So I'm going to go ahead and click New here, and I want to see what their opinion is of the assembly instructions. So I'm going to click Add New. And I want them to rate. Let's see, we're going to go rate the assembly instructions. So, oops. Let's see, we're going to say how easy were the assembly instructions to follow. All right, so again, I'm going to give it a rating up to 10, and I'm going to do the stars. But what I wanted to point out here is on the end here, you see this little icon. If I click this, you have the option to add an image or a video to this question. So if I had my assembly instructions and I uploaded them to YouTube, I could then come in here, paste that URL, and add those assembly instructions right into the question. This way, the user is able to watch the assembly instructions and then give me a rating on how easy they were to follow. So I'm going to go ahead and click that one. And then I think that's it. I feel good about my form. These are the questions that I wanted to ask. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into settings. So that's going to be up here in the ellipsis or the breadcrumbs. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to go into settings. So now we're going to customize this onto who I'm going to be able to send this form to. So because this is going to be a group of individuals that are outside my organization, I want anyone with the link that's going to be able to respond. You could set it here. This is where you would do it. One of the places you would do it, where you could say anyone in your organization can respond. And if you set that, you'll see here that you can also dictate that it records their name, because it's going to capture their O365 login. And then you can also limit them to only responding one per person. But for this particular example, we're going to go ahead and click that anyone with the link can respond. You'll see other options here we have are you can toggle on or off if you're accepting the responses, or you can set a start and end date. So I'm going to go ahead and say that my form will say started yesterday or today, and then we're going to allow people 1 week to fill this out. Another option you could do is to shuffle questions. If you're doing a particular quiz or something where you don't want to lead the particular user in a specific order of the questions, you can have them shuffled. For this one, I want them to be in the way that they are, and that's how it's going to default. And then also you can customize a thank you message. So this is a perfect opportunity to add any additional information that you want to supply whoever's filling out the form after it's completed. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a custom message here that the response has been submitted, and then I'm going to have them mark their calendars for the next focus group next month. Lastly, down here, you'll see two options. You'll see this first one is grayed out, send email recipients. This is only for anyone who's filling out the form inside your organization, again, because it can capture their O365 email, and then you can allow it to send that user an email receipt. But for this particular form, I do want to get notified when it's filled out. So I'm going to toggle this on. That way, I'm going to get a notification when the form is filled out. All right, so after doing the settings here, I realized, I do want to know who is filling out this form. So because it's an external form and not an internal form, I need to add some additional fields to be able to capture that information. If this form is strictly going to be inside your organization, O365 will be able to capture it. But outside the organization, I need to add some fields. So I'm going to come back here and just click on any one of these questions. It will open up an Add New button. I'm going to open up a text box, and I'm going to say name, and I want that to be required, so I'm going to toggle that on. And then I'm going to click add new again, and you'll see just by doing that, it's already going to suggest, do you want their email address? Do you want their organization? I'm going to go ahead and select email address. I want to add that as well. So I'm going to add that as selected. I want these to be the first two questions. So I just click and push that question up, push this one up. There we go. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I want to add my own branding or a theme, my own theme to this. So this is kind of looking a little plain. So I'm going to come up here to theme. And when you open this up, you'll notice that there's tons of integrated themes here that you can choose from. You can choose different colors. However, you do have the option to customize it. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to open this up and I'm going to choose a custom background. Again, you can search through Bing, you can upload from your OneDrive, or I'm going to upload it right here from my computer. I'm going to upload a background. It takes a minute for that to sync. And then you can also customize your colors. So I can put in our exact MyTech blue so that we have that branding in there. So you can see now I've customized it. So once you're feeling pretty good, you got your form filled out, your background, your theme picked, we can go ahead and preview now. So I'm going to click preview, and you can see that it will preview the form and it will allow you to interact with the form just like a user is going to be able to do. So you can see I can select stars, I can play the video if I want, select stars, and click submit. It will show you how to preview on the computer, and then you can also look it over here, see what it's going to look like on mobile. So it does a really good job at converting it into a mobile experience as well, which we know most of us are probably going to be answering these on a mobile phone anyway. So, all right. So now that we've previewed it, we feel good about the form. Now we want to start sharing the form. So I'm going to hover over here to share, click on share, and we'll go through a couple different ways. So here's another way that you can actually change who the form is shared with. So anyone with the link or only people in my organization. We're going to go ahead and leave this as anyone with the link. And you can simply copy the link, and I'll show you a couple ways to do that here in a second. Another option you have here is a QR code. If you're going to be doing any print mailing or postcards or anything like that, you can actually download the QR code and use that. You can embed this in a website. So here it gives you an iframe that you can then put into like a Squarespace website by just adding an HTML block or anything like that. Or you can email it. This will just pop open an email and insert the link right in there. Before I show you how to do this with the link, how to insert it into like Teams or an email or anything like that, a couple other options I want to show you in the share here. One of them is share as a template. So this is a really cool feature, just to give you kind of a context on maybe when you would use this. So for instance, if let's say in this time we have everybody working remotely and we want to get a temperature of our staff on who's ready to come back to the office as we begin to open things up. We want to understand if there's any health conditions that they're concerned about or anything like that. And we want every manager in the organization to survey their staff. However, we want the questions to be the same questions. So what you could do as an executive or maybe the CEO, the president, someone in the organization could create this form, have exactly the questions that you want asked, and then you could click this get link to duplicate. And what it's going to do, it's going to generate a link. You can then copy this link, send this to your managers. I'll show you what it looks like. Just pop it up here. And when you send it to your managers, it's going to open it up and give them the option to duplicate it. It's now going to create it as one of their forms that they can send out to their staff. They can control the results. They can get all the feedback, but it's the same consistent questions. So that's a good option for using something like that when you want to keep that form consistent. Find where it was. Let's go back over here. Awesome. So that's one reason why you might want to share it as a template. The other thing to note here is you can share to collaborate on the form. So let's say there's another person in the organization that you want to share and actually have them edit or add questions or collaborate on, or have, which we're going to get into in responses in a second here, you want them to be able to see individual responses. You could click this icon right here, and it's going to provide you users with an O365 account can access it, or just people in my organization can view and edit. And again, we'll create that link that you can share with other individuals. All right, so we'll come right back to responses here in a moment. But this link, I wanted to show you, if you have it set so that anybody with the link can respond, you can copy it. Like we talked about, you could email it, or I could come over into, my team here. I could go to a chat or a team, and I could say, hey, Nate, please fill out this form. All right, and if people know this little A icon, if you click that, it will pop it open so you have other editing capabilities, so I can actually hyperlink it versus pasting that big long link. So I can insert it there and then send it across, and then he'll have access to that form to fill it out. Another way, let's see, let's go back to our form here. So the last thing I wanted to show you on this particular form is responses. So we don't actually have any responses right now. So let's go back to the question. I'm gonna pop that link that I just gave to Nate in here. So let's actually fill this out. Let's go Stephanie S. Kingsley. We're gonna go ahead and rate these here. It's great. Nothing wrong with the product. I'm highly to recommend, and it's great. So submit. So when you get a few responses, what you'll notice is back in the response tab, now see how it says a 1. What we'll see here is that up here is going to be that generic information about the name and email, but then as you scroll down, it will start to build like a pseudo dashboard for you. You'll see pie charts or different graphical interfaces that will show you and display your information, give you average ratings. So this is a great way to kind of look at the overview of that data. If there's someone in your organization who maybe you didn't want to actually share the form with so that they can edit and collaborate, there is a way just to share the data as well. So if you hover over this ellipsis inside responses and click here, you can actually create a summary link. Again, a link, a lot of links in Microsoft Forms. So this will create a link that you can then send to maybe other directors or managers in the organization to just share the overall summary of the data. So this is a really useful tool for sharing not the exact responses that people may not want to filter through, but just the overall results. Last thing I want to show you for the results is, like we talked about before, you can then pop this open into Excel. You can see the individual responses in Excel format, and just kind of a shameless plug. Next week, we're going to be going through Power BI and how to build dashboards off of Excel sheets. So this would be a great option to have a form that builds out in Excel, and then we can actually dashboard off of it. So this is a feature that a lot of those third-party like SurveyMonkeys, they charge you to use. As long as you have an O365 license and have access to forms, you can download and export this in Excel without additional fees. So this is hopefully would save you some money so you don't need those third-party tools. All right, so I know we're getting close to time here, but I really wanted to go through group forms today as well. I'm going to pop over here. There's a couple different ways that you can go through group forms. Group forms are set up exactly the same way as my forms. What's different about them is, like we talked about earlier in the session, that they're owned by the organization. So you can see here, these are my recent group forms, but you can see it's really tied to the groups and the teams within Microsoft Teams. So if I go to my marketing team, I can see these are the forms that are owned by the groups, not by the individual. So one thing I wanted to show you here, I created this marketing lead tracking form. So this is the form that we use to track our leads. We use something similar in our own organization, but I wanted to kind of show you another feature of forms that can really take your forms to the next level. So one of the things I wanted to show you was branching. For those who aren't familiar, branching basically puts thought process behind the question. So if yes, go to this question. If no, go to that question. So in order to do that, what you need to do is set up your form so that all the questions are in there. For example, this question says lead source. It has a few different options of where that lead came from. Now, if it was a staff referral, I'd want to know who referred it. So here's the question asking that. However, if it's a social media lead, that's a question I don't want to ask. But again, I have event here. I want to know what event. So I put the question here. So first, build out your form with all of those questions. And then you can click into any one of the questions, really. Hover over that ellipsis again. Click it, and it says add branching. When you click add branching, it's going to open up the possibility to do branching on any question. So we're going to start here. So if they select website organic, I just want them to go to to the next question, which is really asking about what's the name of the company of the lead. So they're going to go to 5. If it's a staff referral, I want them to actually ask what's the name of that referral. Go to 3. Event, I want them to ask the name of the event. So you can select which answer and what question to go to next. This is great for taking what could be a really, really long form, and this could possibly be like, if it was an employee that referred, put their name here. And those forms can get really long. So this gives us the capability to put some logic behind it and really create a great form that's easy to follow and easy to click through, and the questions change as you select different answers. So I want to show you quickly before we end here, one of the biggest, I think, one of the greatest benefits of a group form. Now, speaking of branching, I wanted to show you that in this form because this is a perfect opportunity for that, but branching can be done in my forms, group forms, any kind of forms, except for those quick polls that are just one question. But going back to group forms, so when you have a group form like this, everybody in that group has the access to edit it. They have access to fill it out, collaborate on it. But another great thing is when you create group forms, I'm going to go back into Microsoft Teams, and that form is created in the marketing channel here. So I'm going to go to General and click on Files. When you create a group form, it automatically puts the export Excel file into your team files. So you can see, and every time that form is filled out, it's already automatically inputting that data into that Excel sheet. So every time that's filled out, you have a live result Excel sheet in your files. This is really helpful because a lot of the times, and I know I'm guilty of it, I've created a form and every single time I wanted to see the data, I have to export it, and now I have copies upon copies of that data. So this creates that live link. You can do this with a My Form. However, you have to use Power Automate, which is formerly Flow, to actually trigger that data gets put in a specific Excel file. And again, shameless plug, next week we're actually going to be doing a session on Power Automate as well, where we'll show you how to do that. But by creating a group form, it automatically does that. So I think that's a great use of using a group form. Awesome. Okay, so in conclusion, go back to here. Hopefully this information was helpful and gives you some ideas on how to use group forms and My Forms and when you might use one over the other, and even some additional ideas for forms, because like I said, a lot of people I think use them for your typical surveys and things like that, but there is a lot more uses, especially with the branching and other capabilities that you can use forms, using quizzes and things like that with points. There's just a lot of uses for it. So hopefully you got some ideas here, but really all these sessions we've talked about, you really need to identify the key problem that you're trying to solve. So think about what processes in your organization are manual right now. When are you requesting information that then is sent in a PDF or in an email and somebody's having to manually enter and try and manage that information in multiple places? Forms might be a really easy way to replace that so that people can enter and submit data. It's housed in a central place, it's accessed in a central place, and then even provide results and summaries and dashboarding off of it. So you're not going to be able to replace all of those processes with forms right now. So try to take some baby steps in the next 24 to 48 hours. Write down like 1 to 5 things that maybe you learned in this session or tips or ideas, and try and implement those. Start small, baby steps. And then last recommended action is to join us. This week we'll be doing on Thursday we have a session on Stream. And then next week, definitely join us for the Power Automate and Power BI sessions where we'll show you how some of these forms, then the Excel sheets can be turned into, we can do Power Automate flows, which is formerly Flow, or you can create dashboards off of them with Power BI. So be sure to register and join us for those as well. With that, that's all we had for today for the content on Microsoft Forms. I hope that was helpful. We'll be opening it up here in a moment for questions, but for those of you who need to drop off, sorry I went a little over time, feel free to go ahead and drop off, and be sure to stay safe and stay healthy. But we'll go ahead and open it up for questions now. So Megan, are there any questions in the